Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Teacher's Desk, a place where teachers from around the nation talk about issues that other teachers are concerned about. And as a disclaimer, the thoughts and opinions expressed in this forum are solely the thoughts of us, the host and the guests, and do not reflect any thoughts and opinions in the school systems where we work. Today we are talking about tips for success. This video is for parents. Please share with any parents that you know. You may be a parent, a grandparent, an aunt, an uncle. Please share this video so that parents can have tips on success during distance learning. Lori?
Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and start on our tips. And the first tip that we'd like to talk about is establishing routines for your child. So we need to establish a bedtime and time for your child to get up, get dressed, eat breakfast, have rules for the digital devices, ensure your child utilizes their breaks in the schedule. If they have breaks, make sure they have breaks, set expectations for your child to not go on inappropriate sites while they're learning or not while they're not learning as well. And just as a reminder, we want to recommend that you keep your cameras on and students should be muted until the teacher tells them to unmute.
Yes, and in addition to that, make sure that they sign in with their correct name, first and last name, so that they can get full credit for attendance.
Yes.
No nicknames. Teachers do have the ability to remove students from the Zoom for inappropriate nicknames or pictures. So please do not let that happen to your child. While I'm sure many teachers will be flexible with going to the bathroom, like Lori said, encourage them to use their breaks wisely and use that time to grab a snack or go to the restaurant. Another good tip is to choose a good place to learn. Choose a location or space in your house that your child is complete school-related activities. This space should be quiet and free from distractions. If possible, have an adult to help monitor online learning. As we know that many of us will be working ourselves, it might not be possible to monitor all the time, but quick check-ins and look-ins can make sure that students stay on track. Even if it's just in their bed, just make sure that they have the tools that they need there so that they are not running around trying to grab everything they need.
Also, I'd like to add to that for choosing a space to learn, to make sure that other students are not, other siblings, I should say, are not distracting those students as well in that space. Like each child should have a little space, because sometimes we might have an apartment or a space that might not be big enough for everyone to have their large space, but just a little space, so that they would be able to focus and remain on task.
Great.
So our next tip is to stay in touch. Parents, please communicate with your teachers. Stay on touch. Email them. Try to contact your teachers, or even if you're not sure what their emails are, look on the school website. Try to find out what their emails are and contact them if your child is having any problem or you need any information from them. But please remember that some school systems has a certain amount of turnaround time for emails. For instance, in my school system, it's 48 hours. And then during the weekend, we're not supposed to contact, or we do not have to contact a parent until the following week. So just check with your school system, child school system, to see how they handle those type of procedures.
Yes, in my school system, it's 24-hour turnaround time. But as Lori said, the weekends don't count. So don't email on Friday and expect to get a response on Saturday. You will have to wait till Monday. And email is documentation that you have reached out. So if it's an assignment due, please don't wait to the last minute. But if there is an assignment due, that will be something that you can say if it's not turned in on time. Well, I emailed you, we were waiting for a response so that we could proceed with the assignment. Another great tip is to help students own their learning. I know many of us parents take it personally when students don't do well because we feel like we failed in some way, but to provide support and encouragement to your child. Expect your child to do their part. Allow your child to struggle. That's how we learn and become independent learners. And you could assist, but don't help too much, because if you are giving them all of the right answers, then the teacher has nothing to build on. We want them sometimes to know where the gaps are and where they need help. If they struggle a lot, please contact the teacher. There are other resources. Many school systems have blocked out an amount of time for remediation and tutoring, so please take advantage of that as well.
Okay, the next step that we have is to make sure that they have the appropriate tools. Make sure your child has the appropriate tools. Make sure the computer is working. Make sure they have access to a printer. If not, try to find access or try to maybe call your school, this child's school, to find out how can they have access to a printer, USB drive, composition books, pencils, papers. Even though they might be learning virtually, they still need books to keep them organized for each subject. There's a possibility they may need that. Calendars to help them plan and stay organized.
Yes, all of those are good tips. As Lori said, go ahead and grab some school supplies, just some basic supplies. If you have more than one child in school, you might want to invest in a big wall calendar so you can put everybody's Zoom schedule on, when projects are due, when assignments are due, other activities, so that you can look forward, and make your meal prep plans and meal plan and do everything that you need to do, knowing the schedule for the week. As it might shift from time to time, depending on what's going on, you would at least have a basic idea of what your child is doing. In addition to that, do AM and PM check-ins. Make sure that you are checking with your child in the morning to see what their schedule is in the afternoon. Maybe you want to do a quick checklist. Just have some type of information there so that you can check in with them and they can know that they are being held accountable. Don't just take their word that they turned in assignments. Have them open up the assignment and show you where they turned it in and make sure that it's completed assignments. That's one of the issues that we ran into in the spring. The students were click and turn in, but no work was attached. And then when we contacted parents, they said, oh, well, they said they turned it in. We saw they turned it in, but it was nothing attached. So make sure that you have them open up and show you the assignments that they have done.
Yes. And also ask them questions. Ask them, what did you learn today? Do you have any assessments today? Those are just good check-ins, just asking questions, just having communication with them. Another tip that you can use, that parents can use, is to use YouTube videos and other tutorial sites to help their students get a better understanding. Whether it's as far as a better understanding on how to use certain, like Google, maybe how to use Google Slides, or just a tutorial as far as how to use, maybe how to do basic skills, okay? Have a folder created on your desktop, save the folder, or on a USB drive. You can do different ways of helping your child to use these tutorial skills.
That's right, Lori. And particularly with smaller children, pre-K through 3, they have plenty of songs out there, plenty of engaging videos for skills like telling time and counting money and those type of things. Make sure you use your household items. Go ahead and get your clock that you can manipulate, or some coins that you can have them count out, buttons for adding and subtracting. So those type of things we can find right around the house to help us. Encourage your students, teach them basic computer skills. Make sure that they know how to save a document, to their computer, their folder, have them create a folder on the desktop, have them save things to a USB drive, and be able to retrieve assignments. Sometimes technology does go wrong and things might get lost when they get turned in or not able to be opened. And if you can quickly retrieve that assignment and send it another way, that will be helpful as well. Teach them how to change the color of the font so that on documents and worksheets, it will be easy for teachers to identify the answers, and those type of things will just add less stress and will be helpful to the teacher as well.
Yeah, very helpful. What I noticed too as a teacher is that a lot of children know how to use their phones to do things, but when it comes to actually using a Chromebook or a computer, they do not. So those basic skills do come in handy. Hope that's a good tip that you have there. Another tip that we can probably talk about is partnering with other parents. Okay, because you may have questions that you may need to be asked, and maybe I'm just talking to another parent with a similar situation would help you out. Okay, and help you to create solutions that you maybe didn't consider. I know that helps me out a lot. I know sometimes I may say something to another parent about a situation I'm going through, even though I am a teacher, and they would come up with an answer or some type of advice for me to, well, have you thought about this or have you thought about that? So I think that's an important tip as well.
That's right. That is a wonderful tip. Parents are a wealth of resources, and even they might have had the teacher before and are familiar with the teacher's rules and procedures. They can help with supplies. So please make sure you partner with other parents, even if they're not particularly in your school, but have a child around that age. They can be doing something at their school that can be a help to you. In addition to that, monitor on-time screen and online. While we are definitely in a virtual school, so they will have to have a lot of screen time, we do want to monitor how much they are doing on screen and online using appropriate resources. Teach them how to search for things online and vet websites, and have a few websites that you recommend, Encyclopedia Britannica and other things, and check with the school library because they will offer a lot of online resources for kids to do to be able to complete assignments.
Okay. Also, to add to that is the 20/20 rule. Someone shared that with me the other day, and I thought that was a good tip. They said for every 20 minutes your child is on the screen, make sure they have 20 seconds off screen, which not necessarily means a break to get up and move around, but just pretty much means maybe just a break with their eyes, closing their eyes or putting their head down for maybe a couple of seconds and then just picking it back up and getting straight on back to learning. So that's also something with monitoring online, because the computer can be very hard to one's eyes.
Right.
Another tip I would like to add in there is to encourage your child to ask questions. It's a little different going virtual than being in class. And I know as a teacher, and maybe Hope you can also chime in on this. A lot of times students don't like to ask questions, but it's very important for them to ask questions during virtual learning, because the simple, or distance learning, because the simple fact that the teacher can't really detect, especially if the camera's off, if you understand or not understand. So, right. and there's probably other students in the class that are just as confused as you are. So it's good to go out, reach out, ask questions. If your teacher doesn't see you raising your hand, because there's a way you can raise your hand on the Zoom with the reaction. Go ahead and put it in the chat box, okay? Or email your teacher at a later date.
Right. Definitely make sure that they are asking questions so that they can get an understanding of how to do the assignments. Many teachers will post the assignments earlier so you can preview the assignments to see what questions you have. If you're completing assignments, have them to email the teacher. instead of you emailing them, so that they can get an understanding and they can get a clear picture of what is going on. As Lori said, there are other students in the class that probably want to ask those questions as well. With the chat feature, you don't feel like that you have to ask it out loud to the whole class, but the teacher can see it and then respond to the whole class. In line with that, make sure that they have a document where they are saving all of their usernames and passwords, as we will be going to different websites and utilizing online. You don't want to have to ask every time, I forgot my password, I forgot my username. That can delay, especially as we talked about earlier. It's the turnaround time that teachers have to get back to you. So please make sure that they are saving that information and getting whatever tools that they need from the teacher to be successful. And during this unusual time, please make sure that we are managing stress and making the most of this unusual situation. Speak positively about the situation to your students and make sure that if you are remaining positive, they will remain positive as well. Many of our normal routines and ways of life have changed. It's a great deal of anxiety. And many children are worried and fearful. So, and parents, we are also stressed with having to work and deal with this situation. So please don't hesitate to reach out to the teachers, the school counselors, administration, create some Zoom time so that they can Zoom with their friends, and other ways that they can manage their stress during this unusual time.
Yes, managing stress is very important during this time. Another thing that's important is encouraging physical activity and exercise, because since we're doing distance learning, we are sitting a lot, teachers and students, maybe even parents too, if they're working from home. So, and we're not moving as much as we used to. So we encourage you to have your child move around independently during breaks. I know in our school system, our kids get a 10-minute break. So during those 10 minutes, have them get off the screen and walk around, move around, maybe even encouraging them to do some type of physical activity before or after school hours. Just helping moving around, just helping them moving around, just to move, just keep the blood flowing,
healthy snacks.
Yes.
As many of us have just been sitting around snacking during the whole pandemic, getting healthy snacks, observing the lunch period, using it to really move and get some movement in so that we are not just so stagnant in our health. That is going to be important. And it will be a great stress reliever as well. So these are some tips that we thought about. If anybody has any additional tips, please leave them in the comment section below so that others can read and comment. We enjoy reading your comments. Just another reminder to stay safely connected to your friends. As students are using the internet and reaching out, just help them be safe and kind, because cyberbullying is a big thing in the schools. And so we definitely need to monitor how our kids are using the technology effectively.
Well, I think that wraps up our tips for today. What do you think, Hope? Is there any other tips that we have?
So. I'm looking forward to reading the comments and what tips you might have, so that we can relay those and talk about it.
Yes. And we would like to thank all of our supporters for watching our podcast. If you're watching us now and you have not liked us on Facebook, please do so. Like us on Facebook and follow us and subscribe to our YouTube page. Or channel. Sorry.
Yes. Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.